Hello. So today I am doing a journal with me. This is my second composition notebook art journal. I just finished one that I handmade out of paper bags, and I want to do a tour of that, but I didn't want the whole channel to just be tours of sketchbooks and journals, so I decided to record the process of this one. I just started this recently, and this is like my third or fourth page. A lot of these papers that I'm pulling out are just from magazines, or I think like the gold one with the flowers is origami paper. The other patterned pages are all from a little booklet that came in the magazine, Flow magazine. They do a lot of like pretty papers and things, and so I got that. That's what a lot of those are. And then the little plain pieces of paper that you saw, those are just from a pack of random scrapbook paper that I got from some art store. And then I also tore out some pages from an old book that I am never going to read and I used for this kind of thing. And I tore out a couple and I messed with them, but honestly, I forgot that I even got them out and didn't end up using them. So that's fun. I'll maybe use them for something else. But the glue that I am using is called Aleene's. Aleenes. It's Aleene's tacky glue. It's like a little glue stick of Elmer's glue. But it's like liquid glue instead of that waxy purple glue. I like using it because it's a little bit stronger, so the thicker papers I will use. Otherwise, I do use the Elmer's purple glue stick, like it goes on purple, dries clear kind of thing. I use those because I go through glue so frequently doing this kind of thing. The figure that I'm cutting out now is from a magazine. I believe it's from the magazine Enchanted Living. It's like a witchy themed magazine. They do fun photo shoots that are witchy themed and all kinds of articles and stuff. And this one was I believe a tarot card that they had in there. And I'm not sure which one it's supposed to be. It makes me think of the star card, because the star card has the pictures of water that she's pouring. So I decided to go with that. And yeah, so sorry, been a little sick. So a lot of times what I do whenever I'm trying to figure out what I want to do on a journal page, if I don't have like a specific quote or a specific idea of what I'm going to do, a lot of times I will find a picture like the tarot card picture and go from there. By the way, I really love these diamond papers that are also from the Flow magazine. I feel like it really tied it all together, especially this bottom little lattice looking part. I don't know why, I just really like that. A lot of my inspiration lately has honestly been springtime, just because it's been so dark and dreary and the seasonal depression creeped in hardcore this year. So I really have been channeling my excitement for spring into my journals. So this tarot card really made me think of like pouring into yourself, growth, new beginnings. I will find an image that I like, and then I will tweak it, draw on top of it, like I have here. In relation to spring, I didn't really like the red. I didn't feel like the red didn't really go with the color. The rest of it didn't stand out enough. I decided to go in with my Posca marker pencil and or Posca paint pen. I decided to use my Posca markers, the red accents color to pink, the little accents. And you'll see in a second that I also
sometimes I'll do this. I'll draw on top of
some
magazines or
blue
whatever if I
water
want to use an
running
image,
out
but
of
I want to
the
make it a little
pictures
different
as well.
So that's what I'm doing here. But yeah, so she's pouring out the water, and
I also don't really know what
basically
the
I
red is supposed to be down at the
decided
bottom,
to
if that's
do
supposed to
an
be water,
affirmation
but
today.
it was red and everything else red got colored pink, so I just did it, and I think it turned out pretty good. Next, I went in with a Karen, I think they're called deco pins. I get them from Michael's, and they're pretty good. They're kind of like a watery paint pen. And then some of them also kind of have a marker kind of vibe. But this one's just like a metallic gold. And in hindsight, I don't really know why I did her hair gold considering the background's gold, but I fixed that later on with some ballpoint pen outlining the hair. But yeah, now I'm going in and adding the water that she's pouring out. And I kind of like the cartoony effect of the water. So yeah. And the quote that I decided to do was just something that I'm sure I've read or heard somewhere, but it's just don't forget to pour into yourself. And I just went in with some, I believe it's just like little cardstock cutouts, and wrote each individual word down and then cut around them. And yeah, I really like how that turned out. This was honestly really time consuming though. I don't do this very often. Usually I just write directly onto the page. And yeah, this took longer than I thought. And by the end of it, I was just ready to be done with the page. So I like doing the little kind of cursive words and stuff like that. Was fun. But after a while, once I decided to start outlining it, I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? Do you guys ever get like that where you're in the middle of making something and you get to a point where you're like, I know it's going to look great at the end, but you're like, oh, I wish I had decided something different because it's just taking so long. This was one of those situations. But anyways, I'm going to be doing this part for a while, so I figure I'll tell you about my previous art journal that I'm going to be doing a tour of, I guess. So for that art journal, I made it out of brown paper bags, and I made it way too big. It's about like, I don't know if I'd say double the size of this one, but at least that it's bigger than this one. We'll just go with that. But yeah, I made it out of brown paper bags. I didn't mind the brown paper bag part as the background. That was kind of nice because the brown paper kind of adds to the scrapbooky vibe. So that was good. I did have some like packing brown paper that I used to cover up like logos and stuff from the stores. So anyways, I can get into this a lot more whenever I do the actual tour, but I made the book big and I struggled throughout the whole thing trying to fill it up because like in a composition notebook like this, it's a bit more of a normal size. Like sometimes I honestly wish this was even smaller, which I did find some smaller composition notebooks or composition style notebooks, they're not composition brand. But I did find them at Michael's, so I might do that next or in succession with this, because while I was doing my big paper bag journal, sorry, ADD, while I was working on the paper bag journal, I also had previously made a handmade journal, a hand-stitched journal, out of mixed media paper, and that one's really cool too. So since I worked on them both at the same time, I'm kind of thinking about doing a joint video of the two, but I don't know, I might split it up just so I have more videos and so it's not so long. But Yeah, sometimes I work on multiple sized notebooks at a time just so that I don't get bored with one, because sometimes I'll be working on, say, this, and maybe it needs to dry or whatever, like if I use glitter or paint or whatever. But I want to keep journaling and I don't want to wait until it dries. Don't want to have to get out like a blow dryer to dry it. I will work on a different notebook. So I probably will end up doing that, and maybe I'll show you guys me doing my first page in that. But yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, where I went in and did outlines of everything with a blue ballpoint pen. I outlined the little socks and everything, and then added these little Posca marker accents on the paper in the background. I think originally my plan was to use the old book pages where the lines are, but then once I saw that I forgot it, I realized that I actually didn't mind the lines. Kind of added to the scrapbooky effect. So I really like how that turned out. So also, I kind of wanted to talk about the quote. It's "Don't forget to pour into yourself." And a lot of times I will use my journals as like words of affirmation, manifestation, mental health kind of thing. If you watched my last tour that I posted of my last composition journal, I did that a lot, and I found that it actually is really helpful because you spend the entire time working and writing it out and outlining it and drawing it and whatever, and it gets ingrained in your brain in a visual sense rather than just like, oh, I'm gonna have this like motto in my head, or words of affirmation, or mantra. Mantra is really a better word for it. But you have this in your head and it's great, you're thinking about it, but when you do something like this in journaling, it really ingrains it in your brain a lot more. And that's something that I've found that has helped me a lot, because art has always kind of been an outlet for these sorts of things, but never so literal. So if you struggle with mental health or like having positive thoughts, maybe give this a try if you already journal, because honestly, I know it sounds dramatic, but I feel like it's been life-changing. So we're coming to the end here. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. I'm trying to do this YouTube thing. But yeah, I like how this page turned out. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, let me know, and stay tuned.